And let's go to the next block here because this is important and fits very much with it. I love these particular segments because every time that the news is forced to do something even slightly critical of Joe Biden or, just like tell the truth about what's happening in the country, their audience freaks out. So the segment you're about to see sparked a little bit of a backlash. But for once, in terms of the way that they presented that the way the country is feeling, NBC News and Chuck Todd did, they're reflecting their own poll results, and it was a very interesting segment to see how they present it. Let's take a listen.
Just 22% of adults say we're headed in the right direction. A shocking 71% say we're on the wrong track, and that includes a near majority of Democrats who are saying that. President Biden's approval rating stands at a dismal 42% versus 54% who disapprove. Believe it or not, just 2 months ago, Mr. Biden was in positive territory, 49% approving, 48% disapproving. So what's pulling down the president's numbers? Well, look at this set of numbers. Just 37% say he has the ability right now to handle a crisis versus nearly a majority who say he does not. 37% also say he's competent and effective as president. 50% disagree with that description. What's more, Republicans, believe it or not, have double-digit leads in dealing with border security, inflation, crime, national security, the economy, and shockingly, on getting things done. Democrats hold generally smaller double-digit leads on dealing with climate change, the coronavirus, education, and abortion. And that's really it right now.
That is pretty stunning there, Krystal, in terms of the actual breakdown. We'll delve into it a little bit more. But the most important part was actually pulled by Josh Kraushaar. Let's put his tweet up there on the screen. Another telling nugget from the NBC poll. Just 18% of voters strongly approve of Biden's job, while a near majority 46% strongly disapprove. So his strong disapproves are actually higher than his overall approval rating. Yep. That's, generally not a place that you want to be. And I would again point to the fact that he only has 18 points whenever he has a strong approval rating. And the reason why is that the 18 was never a place where Trump was. His strong approval rating was always almost in the 30s. And the reason why, as we have talked ad nauseum, the base of the Republican Party loved Trump in a way that they have not loved a figure since probably like Ronald Reagan. And people would, crawl through glass in order to vote for him. And you saw that in the way the enthusiasm numbers and more. Biden does not have that. That's what I'm going to be talking a lot about in my radar. And when you have that, now combined with Biden becoming a cultural opposition figure in his own right, really reviled by a lot of the American people, you are in for a recipe for total political disaster. And I am very, very, very reluctant to reach for the Jimmy Carter metaphors and all of that. But at this moment, right now, that is the territory, what it simply looks like in terms of the national mood, the lack of the enthusiasm, the ability for Republicans to just simply have massively high approval ratings on oppositional politics whatsoever. That takes a very bad politician in order to produce those types of conditions. Yeah.
I mean, it was okay for Biden when everyone sort of felt like, about him.
Yes, that's right.
That as a politician you can kind of work with, right? You don't have people who are strongly motivated against you. You also don't have people who are strongly excited about you. Everybody just kind of got a general, he's fine, kind of a feeling. That was what he was able to use to win the presidency, and to win the Democratic primary to start with, and then ultimately win the presidency, is that people didn't really have strong oppositional feelings. Mm-hmm. So now you have him becoming an actually divisive, hated figure on the right. And among the Democratic base, people are really not impressed. They're not feeling great about how things are going. And that is very much reflected in the fact that you have 71% of people saying the country is on the wrong track. I just feel like Democrats learned absolutely nothing from the Obama years. Mm-hmm. Absolutely nothing from the Obama years, because it is a very similar setup in a lot of ways. You had a huge crisis, right? You have a Democrat coming into office who has control of the White House, the Senate, and the House. You have this need to really do something dramatic to bring the country back, to make people feel like, okay, we're moving forward and things are heading in the right direction. We need a vision that we can hold on to. We need something that's going to make us feel like this country is on the up and up again. And instead, all you've seen in these past several months is floundering around, incompetence. He's very, he's not in front of the cameras a lot. When he is in front of the cameras, it's a lot less than inspiring. And the agenda itself has completely collapsed. I mean, I personally, as you guys know, think that progressives should vote down this piece of crap bill that we're about to talk about in just a moment. But even if they do, there's so little left in it that even if it ultimately does pass, there's so little left in it. What are people going to hang their hat on here? I mean, this is not going to, people are barely going to notice a difference, even if this supposedly large, significant bill that constitutes his agenda is ultimately passed. So it's pretty pathetic. Look, some of it is out of his control. There's only so much control you have over the pandemic, ultimately. Yeah. There's only so much control you have over the economy, ultimately, even though we tend to put it all on the president. But some of these things are in his control. And he's just failed to deliver. I mean, that's ultimately the bottom line. And anytime you have one party that has control of all the levers of power in Washington, the other party is going to get fired up. Like, that's the normal ebb and flow of politics. They're pissed off because they're out of power and they want to see their values represented and they don't feel like it's being right now. That's going to happen. So you've got to give your side something to feel excited about too. Something to feel like it's worth getting out of bed and fighting for these people and giving them a little bit of your hard-earned cash, giving them your vote, showing up to organize for you, all of that. There was a line in, I think, one of the articles about Virginia that was effectively like, Democrats really thought that Trump opposition equaled support for them.
That's right. That's exactly
And it led them to overstate and indulge in sort of fantasy about how large and significant their base of support was. With Trump gone, now you see the bare bones of what people actually really think about this party writ large.
And take a look at this. Let's go and put Ryan Strzok's tweet up there on the screen. New NBC News poll on which party is better on. So climate change, coronavirus, education, abortion, voting rights, and election security are all places where Democrats are above water. Now, immigration, the economy, national security, crime, inflation, and border security all have major Republican leads. But where my really eyes go to are the two of the economy and inflation, Krystal, because we know that the economy was already relatively tied with coronavirus amongst what is the most important thing for the national party in order to reckon with. And that inflation then became the second most and equally tied with all three of these things in terms of what is on Americans' minds. So if you have Republicans leading at 24 points on the subject of inflation and 18 points on the subject of the economy, that is just going to simply drown out a 12-point lead that Democrats have on coronavirus. And it really does go to show where, you really are just so, this is why our politics is so annoying, right? Which is that it swings between coronavirus on the one hand, economy on the other, inflation here, and that people seem to have to pick and choose kind of between the two parties. And nobody is kind of trying to offer what the other side wants. And it becomes a real gridlock in terms of the way that it actually manifests. But overall, the story is that and as even Chuck Todd said, getting things done is a place where Republicans are currently leading Democrats, which is, a shocking thing if you've ever been here in Washington. And you can see also why, many people were upset. But I was describing Mitch McConnell's tactics and I said, I think it makes perfect sense. People blame the president. They blame the party in power whenever they're there. Why should they have to worry about arcane Senate procedure or whatever? They're like, you guys are supposed to be the people running the country. You're not doing anything. All of it is just creating a complete political morass for the president and for the party in power.
Yeah, and let's not get it twisted. It's not that Republicans deserve support. It's not like they're doing anything or offering anything that would deal with any of these problems that people have. But right now, they're not in power. So when people feel like their lives aren't going well and they're frustrated with, the people who, at least in theory, have control of the country and the government, they're going to look for an alternative. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing right now.
That's right.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.